when I created this podcast, I was thinking of a list of people that I would want to bring on, and you were the first person that came to mind because the last 3 years, you know everything that I've been through. Emotional. You know everything that I've been through, and you believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. And um, you just have this light and this like energy that really makes people look at themselves in the mirror. You push people to their limits all out of love, and that's exactly what you did for me. Mentally, physically, I was not at a good point in my life, and I hadn't even started my own business yet. And you know, you coming into my life, like you just showed me even more. Like I was on the path to being an entrepreneur, and I just needed that person to be there for me to push me. And so when you came into the picture, it was just skyrocket from there. Like, obviously it was a roller coaster, but you were always by my side. And it's super special to have somebody in my life who I can trust with business, friendship wise. I can go to for advice about relationships, friendships, in general. And I wanted you to be the first person to bring on because I know the value that you can bring to people, and I know the lives that you've changed, and I just want everyone to experience that.
Well, thank you. I really am honored to be here and honored to be your first podcast. And I think you nailed it. My purpose as a person, I didn't really know what that was for a very long time. I went to school to be an attorney, and I very quickly hated it. Because it wasn't serving something inside of my soul that I needed to serve. And I knew I wanted to help people, and I just didn't really know what that was going to look like for me. But I remember the day I said I no longer want to be in the legal field. I want to be a personal trainer. And I thought everybody in my life was going to kill me because who leaves a career to go be a personal trainer in the world? It just seems insane. But I knew with that focus, it would take me into something bigger and serve a greater purpose, and aligned me with someone like you. And again, thank you for allowing me to be that person. I'm very grateful to be that for you and for the people I've touched. So I'm honored to be here with you today. Really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that it's important too for people to know that it's okay to make career changes. More often than not, people think that like if they make a choice, they have
Absolutely.
to stick with it. And normalizing that, I think, is really important because people have midlife crises where they're like, you know, for the last 20 years, I've been doing this career that I absolutely hate. And they're scared to lean into that fear.
It's interesting that you brought that up because I know I'm only 36, but I've been going through something pretty similar because when you reach a certain level at such a young age, when you've started a business at 24 and you're now 36 and you're in this position where you're like, okay, you know, I'm in this place where kind of built, you know, and you know me, I've always tried new things and I've wanted to explore different things, but I felt like something inside of me was being so spiritually taken out of what I had started. And it's interesting because if you can't connect to your business through your soul versus your mind, then you truly aren't your business. Your business is a living thing. It's a living creature. And the reason I like to say that to people and share that is because it needs to be nourished. It needs to be fed. It needs to be loved. It needs to be cared for. And although I might not have the best website, I do have the biggest heart of any gym owner that will be here and support you and all of my other businesses overall, you know, but making that career shift and change for myself back then was because I needed to help people. And I was fighting for something more inside of my soul. And then the gym became this place where I've been able to reach thousands of people and touch thousands of hearts, and then people online and people all over. And I'm just nearly getting into the online world, which I'm really excited about being able to help people there. But, you know, a career change it can be super healthy, but it doesn't mean you have to end the first one either. Absolutely. Right? And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, just because I'm not a trainer anymore and I'm not fully in my gym and my business does not mean it's not my soul. It just means that my soul is still there, but my soul is expanding.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Have you heard the phrase, you are your business?
100%.
And you like the time that you invest in yourself it all, just like you said, it's almost like a branch off of you. So everything you invest in yourself, you're investing into your business.
1000%.
You read one book a week, right?
Oh, yeah.
You do all of those things that, impact your business too, because you're in the right mindset to make those choices.
Well, and that's kind of the biggest glue for me is I read every week so I can be better for other people. It's not, when I read a book, I don't read a book to be like, I'm going to be the best business owner. I'm going to make the most money. I'm going to do all these things. That's just not at all what I'm reading that book for. I'm like, how can I help that person tap into something deeper in order to stop eating that food? How can I tap into Caitlin and let her know her worth and her value and what her power is? How can I tap into each and every person, whether it's offensive to them or not? People need somebody in their life to push them, because nothing success comes from comfort. Nothing in success and nothing in life, nothing. Your relationships don't come in comfort. Are you having the hard conversations, right? Because I will be that friend. I am your most honest friend. I am your most biggest cheerleader, but I'm never going to be the one to validate the behavior that will take you from the powerhouse that you deserve to be, that everybody deserves to be, because that's my purpose. It isn't. It's not gym. It's not that. It's not
serving others.
It's serving people. It's truly like igniting this deep power. And when I saw you start your own business and I've seen you success, I was telling my husband this last night. I was like, dude, I remember when I first met her and she would come to my meetings and all these things and blossomed into this really successful businesswoman. You know, she's single momming it, handling it, and that to me is so powerhouse. And it reminds me of Kayla. When I met Kayla, she quit her job completely. And now owns her own business. And that's are the
just
things.
Two people. You've done that to so many people. You've helped so many people level up in their business and their personal life. Even just I have been at the gym for over 3 years now, and I've seen members, I've seen from where they started to where they're at now, and you can just see the glow. You can just see how much happier they are. Like I said, you really make people look in the mirror and realize, their flaws and where they can improve, and it's just really cool seeing firsthand, how everyone grows.
Well, and that's the thing too, is I want people to tap into what they see besides the aesthetic of themselves, right? Because this is the common denominator in our culture. And so many people will describe Amanda, and this is something I wanted to bring light to in this podcast today, as intimidating or assertive or abrasive, all of these things, when in reality, the reason I feel confident as a person is not the way that I look. It has nothing to do with that, because I could sit here and tear myself apart every day. The reason that I'm confident is because I get to have a purpose. I have something that's so much deeper than physical. Like that is so irrelevant. When you are dying and you actually are at your own funeral, are people going to say, damn, she had the best ass? Or are they going to say, man, that impact that woman made on my life, the purpose she gave me, that is what people need to ignite within their own life. Like, what are we all doing? What are you here for? What are you on earth for? What is it? Like, every single person has a purpose, a content creator, a social media manager. It's not just a surface level thing. These are the topics I've brought up for years, Your purpose is not something, somebody, anything. It has to be something that's in you that you don't even know that's in you. That is the purpose. You have to define that. It can be your work, but what part of your work is the soul? Right. And that's in anything. This doesn't have to be just business related, right? This could be as a mom. My daughter is the love of my life and the best thing in my life. She is a purpose of mine, but she is not my personal purpose. No, my personal purpose is not her, because that's unfair to put that pressure on my daughter. Truly and wholeheartedly. I am not, she is not my reason of pure happiness and joy. That's a lot of pressure to put on your child.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? You don't want to put that pressure on your child. So you have to find something bigger and better than that. So your daughter builds the self and the worth, that takes her to the next level in her little world, And I've always said that. That's why I always say that in meetings, and I make people write that exercise. What is your purpose outside of your home, outside of your business, outside of those? If you stripped all of your identity away, if you stripped every ounce of your identity away, what are you? Who are you? That is what you really have to focus on. That's your soul, and that's where you expand as a person in business.
Absolutely.
And in life, as a mom, whatever it is, as a wife, all the things.
Absolutely. I think in the last 3 years, one of the biggest things that I've done is become more aware of the choices that I make. And if they're in alignment with who I want to become.
100%.
So it's just like the message you said the other day in Spin, visualize who you want to be. What do they think? What do they do? What are their daily habits? What do they eat? All of that.
100%.
I can't even explain how much it's impacted me, because now if I do something and I'm very aware. I'm very aware, so it's like, this doesn't feel good.
Right.
This doesn't feel like it's in alignment with where I want to go. I'm on the wrong path. And then I redirect myself.
100%.
So that's definitely something that's impacted me a lot, for sure.
Well, it's interesting because I've always said I've had meetings with my team. I mean, I would say 6 or 7 years ago, I had the question and the statement in one of my meetings. And it was, why do you deserve to make more money? What makes you deserve the money over that person? People get so uncomfortable when they talk about money.
Yep.
Why can't you want more money? Wanting money is not a bad thing. Building a business that makes you money that's based on a purpose is not a bad thing. But why do you deserve to make that money? And this is where that whole conversation I had in my message that day about the versions of you and all these things. I had a version of me in my 20s. That's when I started West Coast Training Center. I had a version of me as a new mom. I had all these versions of me. And each season, they played such an important and vital role in my life. But who's that next version? Because if you want to keep achieving greatness and keep elevating your life and creating more abundance, what levels of frequency are you tapping into as an individual to understand what that person should be? So for example, when I ask somebody, why do you deserve that money? Why? And then they will say, well, because I'm doing the work. Yeah, the work is great. Everybody can do the work, but that's not the answer. Because the version of you as a person has to walk like that person, talk like that person, dress like that person, represent that person. If you want to make more money, what are you going to change about your day to day in order to receive that money?
Absolutely.
What do you, and that it's not just money, it's happiness, it's joy. I think everybody in culture right now is feeling sad or stressed or overworked, but you can make these decisions to change that, because most people are scared to change that.
Yeah.
They're so scared. They're so incredibly scared to tap into that level, because it can be terrifying because it's change.
Absolutely.
But like I said, if you want to receive more joy, what kind of person are you going to be? I always bring this to somebody's attention, let's just use this as an example. I'm a man hater. Okay, well, you're just going to keep attracting more horrible men. So are you going to revisit this and tap into a different side of what kind of woman should you be to attract the right type of man? Yep. And it works in both ways. For men, are you acting like the man that you want to be to receive the type of wife that you want? Are you giving her a safe, masculine environment? Or are you an egotistical masculine man giving her a non-safe environment to create a masculine energy woman? If you aren't providing these in both levels, then you're not going to reach the abundance in those aspects, right? Yep. And it comes in so many different things. Parenthood, all the things. What kind of mom do you want to be? That's how your child's going to react. It's all of those different things. Those are the versions that I try to bring awareness to grow and truly elevate and maximize in your life.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard because entrepreneurship forces you to lean into that fear. And that's one thing I've realized, is that the successful people are the ones that lean into the fear. Instead of avoiding it, or just, instead of avoiding it, they're leaning into it. They're facing it head on. and it's hard. And that goes for not just entrepreneurship, but love. Yeah, it's scary to, you know, fall in love and possibly get your heart broken, but that's the risk that you take. And it's like the people who lean into it are the ones that are going to find it. And you are what you attract. So 100%. Just like you said.
Well, and that's also super interesting. That's an interesting point too, obviously, because the law of attraction, I'm a firm believer on. And what you put out there is actually going to happen. And this brings me into like a very big part of my life, and everyone in my life will yell at me if I'm not doing the right thing in my brain. I have like an incredibly powerful brain, and I think everybody also does if they tap into it, right? But the manifestations are a real thing. I've manifested good and bad things in my life. I've created good and bad things because my brain is so powerful. And it's something that I like to bring awareness to all the time in every area of life. And I've brought this up in multiple of my public speaking events, but manifestation, I really started to believe it would come true in different examples. I remember starting out as a business owner and some of the struggles and the fears and the scared and being so terrified. I was 25. I had no money. I was absolutely terrified. And I remember walking in there and becoming a trainer, and then a situation had occurred where I was offered, short version of the story, someone was pocketing money from the person who had owned the gym and not paying the person the gym. And it was unfortunately a really bad situation. And I remember calling my dad and saying, "Oh boy, Dad, you told me, FYI, my dad's like my favorite mentor on the planet. So I'm very blessed by that." But I called him and he said, always in my life, never be the messenger. Don't be the messenger of anything. Just let it all, fall into its own path, because if you become that messenger, that person could decide if they believe you or not and then hate you, right? So there are certain things. In this situation, when I called him, I said, "Dad, you said not to be the messenger, but this is really bad. What do I do? I'm really nervous. Oh my God, I feel like I need to do this. I feel wrong because you know me. I'm so honest. I'm so loyal to a fault. All these things. I don't know how to not do the right thing. It makes me uncomfortable when I don't see the right things." My dad said, "Oh no, honey, this is different." And I was like, "Okay, well, can you help me make a business plan? I don't know how to make one." And so he's like, "Yeah, come on over." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Daddy, I believe that I've been manifesting this, and I don't really understand what that means, but I believe that I've been seeing a building and a place where I could help people in." And I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know it was a gym. I did not believe that, but I manifested something bigger. And so I went over, my dad and I made a business plan. I was 25. Called the building owner, and I said, "Hi, I'm a trainer at your gym. You probably don't know that, though, because you haven't been receiving my payments. But I would love to take you to lunch if you would hear me out on a few things that have been going on in your building." He said, "Okay." So I took him out to lunch by myself. I was 25. I had a business plan. Never did anything like this in my life. Bought him lunch, and he was laughing because he's like, "You're going to buy me lunch?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to buy you lunch. Got $12. I'm going to buy your burger."
$12?
$12.
Wow.
So how did I start a business with that? I took the building owner out for lunch.
Wow.
And I said, "I'm going to buy your burger, but I can't buy you the fries." And he was like, "Okay, whatever." And I looked at him and I said, "This is my business model." I said, "I want to prove to you that I'm worth you allowing me to take this leap of faith in my life. I want to help people." I said, you're my one hope. I said, "I see this space in this building and this is what I see for it." And he said, "Okay, it's yours."
Just like that.
Yeah. 2-minute conversation.
Wow.
And he looked at me and said, "I know you're going to do it. I don't have one slight doubt in my mind that you're not going to do it."
That's amazing.
And I got in the car and I called my dad. I was like, "Is this a good idea? I got to figure out what I'm going to do now." So he gave me the keys. I took over the building. I went in. I told the other guy he had 12 hours to leave the facility. And then I just figured it out. I literally had no money and had to figure out how I was going to grow that business. And to this day, I never have asked for anything from anyone. And I can honestly say that I've done it by myself. Until the day I met my husband, which is further down the road in that story. But yeah, I took over that gym and started writing trainers that I saw on Instagram, which was also very new to me. And said, hey, would you like to come work here? It's a gym. That's all I know. That's all I know.
So you didn't have any personal training experience, or very little when
Very little.
when you
I
got
was
the
only
gym?
about 9 months into
Okay.
being a trainer.
Okay.
And all transparency, I'm very honest to the world and don't care what people think. But at the time, I didn't have a training certification.
Okay.
I was an athlete my whole life. I played competitive soccer. It was just something I knew everything about. I've always been a self-taught person. I don't think papers, certifications, and all that shit mean anything 90% of the time.
Yep.
So I just figured it out. Later on, obviously, I got the certifications and the insurance and all the shit. But at that time, it wasn't something that I think I needed. I also had no idea what I was doing, in all transparency. So, but then after that, it just kept growing and growing and growing, and the business kept growing. And then the building owner, Mike, who, by the way, rented that building to me for 3 times the monthly dues on the building, plus he rented out the gym equipment, plus he charged me extra money because I was a liability, and said, I have to protect myself. But I said, okay, it's a problem. I'll prove it to you. I have no problem. And I did it. I proved it to him. Yep. And after 1 year, he called me and said, hey, what do you think about buying the building from me? And I'm like, how do I do that?
So at this time you were 26, 27?
27, somewhere between 26 and 27,
Okay.
somewhere in that age range. I have to really think about that for a second. All I know is I signed papers to the building in September. I remember that day very, 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 very clear. But I said, okay, well, this is how much money I have. And he's like, how much is that? I said, how much do you think? And he's like, how much do you have? I said, I have a few $1,000s to my name. And he's like, that's okay. This is what you should do. And I said, okay. And he goes, I think you should go take out a personal loan for $15,000. I've never had a loan. I've never had credit cards. I had never even really accredited debt in my life. I had nothing. My dad said never get a credit card, so I never did.
Yeah.
Well, then the building owner goes, okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go get this $15,000 loan out. It was at a 12% interest. I'll never forget, because that's all I could get approved for. And I'm like, okay, Dad, this is my only chance. And my dad could have easily written me a check, but I refused.
You had to do it yourself.
100%. And I said, no, I'm doing it by myself. I'm not letting you help me. I'm not going to be that person. I am not going to have people think that I was a spoiled, rotten little brat, that my daddy helped me, because I refused to be that person. Although a lot of people did have that idea of me. It's not true. So I took out that loan, and I'll never forget that payment was $550 a month on top of this new mortgage. And then apparently you have to pay property taxes when you buy stuff, which I didn't know. I just got a random bill. Again, these are things I had no idea. It was just so new to me, and all the things. But yeah, so I got $15,000. I gave him $15,000, and he carried the note.
Oh, wow.
So Mike was the bank. And if it wasn't for Mike, I would not be anything. And I still call Mike. I just literally called Mike on Tuesday last week and was like, I don't know what to do. I need you to tell me what to do. I'm really, really freaking out right now. I need to know what to do. And he's, just been there for me ever since. And he carried the note. And within 1 year, I had built my business to a position and a place that I could refinance into my own loan. And I refinanced into my own loan. And that was probably the best, most successful day of my life. Although the loan still sucked because I was still so new. And then I just refinanced again into a traditional conventional loan on my building just last year. So nice. I got it into a position where it was locked in. But for years, I was on variable. So stressed out Amanda was because my freaking mortgage was going up all the time. But that's all I was approved for.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the whole fear in starting, and then obviously where we're at now.
Well, that's crazy. It does sound like you spent the majority of the time teaching yourself. Like as things were coming, you were just like, oh, property tax, don't know what this is. Now I have to deal with that, and just kind of dealing with that as you go. I feel like I experienced that too. Even just with meeting new clients or connecting with new people. I'm always thrown an obstacle.
100%.
And you have to just always I feel like that's definitely one of the biggest skills you have to have as an entrepreneur is the adaptability, resourcefulness, and just being able to understand people.
Well, yeah. And I think, too, that's what a lot of people get stuck in, right? So they're like, okay, you got hit with a $4,200, property tax bill. You have $3,000 to your name. What do you do? This is why so many business owners fail. This is why so many business owners, and let me rephrase the word fail, because I don't actually believe that failing is an option. I believe that it just gives you a different way to do something. There's always a solution. So failure is a funny word for my brain, but we learn from failure, but that's what the lesson is, right? So people are like, how are you going to do that? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to make money. I'm like, well, how are you going to make money? I said, I don't know. I will make it, though. I will always find a way, and I will just go out, do something crazy, and make the damn money because it's not an option. It's a non-negotiable. People ask me, Amanda, how do you do what you do in a day? And I'm like, it's not an option. You make it an option. In my world, it's not an option.
Absolutely.
I would never stop because it's a non-option. No. If I stopped doing what I was doing, I would literally have to let go of 35 employees right now who would lose their job. I would let go of 350 members who would have no place to go. My daughter would then lose her independence with me as a working mom because I'd have to get a different job. So ultimately, no, it's not an option. So you make money, right? So when I was in that situation, my dad would always say, I'm like, Daddy, how am I going to do this? And he goes, I don't know, baby. And my dad always says, I didn't raise a sheep. It's my dad. If you know my dad, he's my dad. And he goes, you're going to go out there and you're going to figure it out. I want you to go sit somewhere in quiet, and I want you to find opportunity in the down always. Because in the down market is when all millionaires are bred. So you need to be in the down and really figure out what you want to do. I'm like, okay, well, how am I going to make $4,200? Well, then I find out you could split the property tax payment. Solution number one.
There you go.
So I only had to pay half of that because I could pay the other half later in the year. So it gave me some grace. So I said, all right, well, I'm gonna sign up 2 new clients. Okay, that covers 2. That's 500 clients. Okay, that means I need 4 new clients within 2 weeks because it's due in 3 weeks. All right, how are we going to get new clients? So I'm like, all right, let's create a referral incentive. I'm going to give every single one of my clients $100 off their membership if they get me clients. So they all brought me in a client. That solved about $1,500 of it. Then I'm like, okay, shit. I'm actually going to create a t-shirt real quick. I got a t-shirt launch out there. I sold a couple t-shirts. That covered about $500. And I'm like, okay, I'm still $500 short, $400 short. How am I going to make that next amount of money? Oh my God, I'm going to have a meeting. Everybody pays me $5 and I can teach them about nutrition.
There you go. That's just how your brain works.
Yeah. I mean, how else are you going to make the money? That's just how you're going to do it. You're going to figure it out. You have to use your resources.
Absolutely.
Problem solving is a skill that a business owner, an entrepreneur, and any person in the world truly needs. But that's always been so important to me. Don't have a mindset that you can't do it. You can do it. I hear this so often. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not good at that. Neither was I.
But you figured it out.
You figure it out. Because I hate to not know something. Am I going to be that 36-year-old that doesn't know how to use Instagram because it's really confusing? No. It's like the seniors in my gym. That's that's the soul of my gym, right? Rock Steady. It's like, what am I going to tell Rock Steady? Am I going to say, please don't understand an app or a software because you're 90, or should I teach them how to use that skill? And that's what I've always done. Because ultimately, what are we doing to our culture if we do that, right? Those are things that I like to truly take full control of, even in my own life, even with the seniors. You want to keep them updated and truly, on the same page of the culture that we're living in.
Yep, absolutely. So within the last almost 10 years, right, of having West Coast Training Center, what are some of the biggest setbacks or challenges that you experienced?
Well, I can start at the very beginning. And I remember sitting in my gym and saying, and my husband came into the picture. The best part of West Coast was him. He came in. He was this hot little beefy thing. And I was like, who's this guy? He's super hot. Let's get him in here. And didn't realize he was the best man. He was a resource also. He was brilliant. He's creative. He knows group training, which I didn't know was a thing. So when I owned the gym, I rented out space. And then my husband came into the picture about a year and a half, I think, later. God, I can't remember my life. And he's like, no, babe. He's like, we need to sell everything in here and we need to do group training. I'm like, you're insane. This is $100,000, $200,000 worth of equipment. We're not doing that. He's like, babe, it's the only way you're going to maximize in this space. So he was like, I was like, okay, honey, well, whatever. You're hot, so let's do this. You know, we weren't even married yet. And we were just like, let's do this, making all the irrational decisions as a new couple. So that was problem solving number one. My husband, I didn't know that he was going to be a resource, or my boyfriend at the time, more than my husband and all the things. But after that, we did this. But then we were sitting there one day, we're like, we have 33 members. And they're all my friends. And I'm like, this is not working. This is not working. And I would cry. I was so stressed. I'll never forget. We thought we were terrible. We never were going to amount to anything. You know, we got in these mindsets where it was just like, no. And then one day I'd be like, no. We're doing this. We're going to do this. We got to figure out solutions. So then I'm like, we need to build. And back then there was no Alex Hermosi. There was no books. There was not all this stuff on gyms, you know. We had to figure this out on our own. And we were like, okay, well, I'm like, you know, babe. And he goes, let's talk about Marine Corps principles. And then I'll talk about what women need to hear. And so we embedded the two, right? Like the fundamentals of leadership skills. And then I would read John Maxwell, who I based my entire business model off of. It's John Maxwell principles.
Okay.
And so I was like, I want to serve the people. I want to help the people. He's brilliant. Read all his books. I've read every single one. And I just ordered his new one. I still haven't gotten it. Kind of mad about that. But so I started reading John Maxwell, and he started studying strength and conditioning. And then I would read leadership. I started reading business, and he just read the fundamentals of working out. You know, that's what we started to do.
Yep.
And then we started to see like a trickle and a trickle and a trickle and a trickle and a trickle. And then one day it was like, boom. And then it was like, how do we know who's in our gym? We didn't even have an app. We had no software, all these different things. Wow. So then we were in a second roadblock in business, okay? Holy shit, I have to learn software. I have to learn an app. I have to learn a website. I didn't even have a website. I had to learn all this stuff. I had to learn how to text faster. I had to learn AI Messenger. All these different things I've had to learn, right? Those are some of the setbacks. But besides the growing pains of a business, there was one real setback and one that was not a setback. It was the best blessing in my life, but it was a setback professionally. So there was two huge setbacks. One, obviously, this one's real hard. When I was brutally attacked on social media for 14 days. And I was 8 days postpartum. And there was about 24 women who truly, to this day, I've never done anything to. And they brutally attacked me. They called me a fat, ugly mom. They called me a crackhead mom. They insulted my daughter. They called her ugly. They insulted my husband, called him beepity beep beep beep. This is all on social media. They had themselves, their friends, and their family go write bad reviews on my business that don't even go there. They've never met me. There was a group of women who called me a cult leader, all the different things. And, you know, after years of getting through this, I've realized that I feel really sorry for them. And that's a really sad and lonely place to be, especially to attack a new mom, but to attack a new mom who owns a business, who's already struggling to run the business because I'm trying to figure out being a new mom. But yeah, it was 14 days. They flooded my business and tried to destroy me. And at that given point, I'm like, you know what? No one's going to steal the joy of my daughter from me. And Absolutely. You're never going to steal that from me. And was it the hardest thing to overcome? Yes, because did it affect my reputation? Of course. People believe absolutely. It. People love gossip. Mm-hmm. People love the devil. People love to see someone like me fail. Mm-hmm. People want to see someone like Amanda fail instead of just being in my corner. Yeah. Yep. You know, why not be proud and happy that there was a female that started a business, owned a business, and is killing it in the industry, except you want to attack me because of your insecurities. When in reality, the whole time I ever had these conversations with these women was to love them, support them, and build their businesses. And every single one of you listening that did that, please, shut up, share what I've said to you. Because at the end of the day, I've saved every message from every single person in my entire history of being a business owner, and they all have their own personal Google Drives. And that's how I know I can go to sleep at night, because I know I've never done anything to one person in my life. But was that a setback? Yeah, because it made people uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. It made people really uncomfortable. It made the community uncomfortable. Like, what kind of person is she to have that many people not like her?
Yeah.
But what kind of person is anybody of success? What kind of person is Andy Fritscher? Oh, he's an asshole? Why? He's really successful. He's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's easy to attack him.
Oh, for sure.
And so what I've realized is all the people that I've pushed into discomfort, that was a setback, but it's who I am. So why is my purpose of that being hindered? And why is my success being hindered because of my purpose? If that makes sense. It was that thing that people were kept being mad at me for, and that attack. But what I realized is that those aren't the people I want to attract.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel that the way that I love is wrong for you, then go next door. Go to another studio that's non-authentic and doesn't give two shits about you. Because I do love hard and I have really extreme passion. I'm intense as hell, but that's because I care. Mm-hmm. And it is a gift, and I have learned to just truly be confident and love all of it. And although I was attacked and that was a huge setback, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And if you can go back and relive all of those things, because now it's going to take a lot to bring me down.
Oh, for sure.
A lot.
Yep.
And, oh, God, the next setback. Are you ready for this one?
I'm ready.
This one should go public, too. So the city of Temecula just recently decided that I was not zoned to be in my position after 12 years in business, after contracting my classes through the government. They actually wrote me paychecks. They marketed me on Merchant Minute. They told me and supported me. They shook my hand. They recorded videos. They showed up to my grand opening. They supported my business legitimately from top to bottom, and I've been there for 12 years. They came and said, hey, you're not zoned to be there, so we're going to have to charge you a shitload of money. And if you don't pay it, you're going to have to be shut down. Yep.
No words.
Insane, because this is a community that says they support small businesses, and I really felt that for many years. I did. But going through this, but not only was it a setback in business, it was a setback because of how it was treated. Like, if you would have come to me, I've been friends with most of these officials, with most of these city officials, most of these people I've been friends with. They've come to my family birthdays. They've come to parties. They've been invested in my career and in my life. And I'm not asking for favors. I've never been that person. I'm asking for respect.
Yep.
And you could have come to me and said, hey, Amanda, we found out some things. We got to do some permits, and we got to do a few things for you in order to get you, into a legitimate place first. Hey, can you come into a meeting? I got a text message from a city official who I won't name because I do care about him that said, hey, I got news that they're going to approve that you're going to be there. And I'm like, great. So I went in there happy, ready to sign paperwork. Sat me in a room full of 5 men, 1 woman, and interrogated me as if I was a criminal.
About the business.
For running my business in the United States of America. But anyway, so then they interrogated me, and it's like, so what do you do there? What do you do there? I don't know. You looked at my website. So you clearly know what I do there.
It's a gym.
Yeah, it's a
Go
gym,
in person, you'll see.
Your assistant actually was a member in my gym for 3 years. I'm pretty sure you know. My mom worked for the city of Temecula for 25 years.
Yep.
You know what I do.
Yep.
Well, you're not allowed to be there. You're not zoned to be there. We're going to have to shut you down. And I said, I will wait in the lobby until you find a solution, because you're not going to shut me down. You can find me every day. You're not going to shut me down. I will sit in your lobby, and I'm going to wait here until you, your whole planning department, all the people want to do me right.
It's just like you said, it's not an option.
It's not an option.
No.
It's not an option.
You'll figure it out.
You will figure it out, and you will help me win this, because if you were to shut West Coast Training Center, Lionheart Studios down,
man.
You would destroy the lives of so many people in a place of
400
purpose.
plus people.
A place where we've raised $16,500 for local foster children. A place where we've raised money to help your community thrive. Mm-hmm. This is just not an option.
No, it's not an option.
So that was the next setback. And then, like I said, the setback of motherhood is not a setback, but it made it a lot harder. And my daughter was my best miracle. 8 years of struggle to get her. So nothing really mattered once I had her, and I thought that was going to be like this easy balance for me, but it wasn't, because I wasn't going to answer a new lead phone call versus watching my daughter sit up for the first time.
Absolutely.
Like, there was just boundaries that I was like, it's just not worth it. No money is worth that. Nothing
wanna
is
miss
worth
that
that.
time.
I would
No.
sell everything if it stole a second of my joy from my daughter.
Absolutely.
Nothing amounts to my family. And I genuinely believe that that wasn't a setback, but holy shit, was it hard. I thought running a business was hard. Raising a child is way harder. So kudos to all people, all stay-at-home moms, girls, you're the real superheroes because you're really building a true empire out of a little person.
It forced you to give more grace too. You know?
Yeah.
Now you're like, you know, your clients who were moms, you're like, I understand.
Totally. I
why
called
you
all of
couldn't
them.
come today. Yeah.
Yeah.
You told me
I
too.
did. I called every single one. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry that I gave you shit for that glass of wine on
Yeah.
Wednesday. I get now the
I
overstimulation. Yes. No, all the things. But she softened me tremendously. And I think that that was something I needed.
Yeah, definitely.
And it allowed me to give more grace to people authentically. Those are just a few of the setbacks, truly. But honestly, another one I would openly talk about is that I don't feel people understand me. And they don't understand what it takes to run a legitimate business. And to run a legitimate business as a woman in a male-dominant industry. And to make decisions alone 24/7 with a husband who's gone 24/7.
Yep.
I don't think people actually understand what it legitimately takes. I'm going to hurt your feelings sometimes. I have business protocols. I have strategies and I have things that I have to do in order to keep my business open. And sometimes it's not going to make you happy, and I understand that. But attacking me for a business principle, for a policy, and shame on anyone who does that to any small business. Shame on all of you, because you don't even know what that's like. And all small businesses are actually the only reason these corporations are existing in our economic state, because we are the economic gods for any small city.
Preach it.
It is these small business owners, and they deserve a lot more respect from people. And honestly, I don't think people actually understand what it takes. They always have an opinion.
Yeah. And and I think it's, you know, for you specifically, you have such a close relationship with every member, with every trainer, every employee, every local business owner. You're close with everyone. So there's certain boundaries that you have to put up too, because yes, you're their friend. Yes, you know, you're their mentor, whatever else, but you're also a business owner. So like you do have to set up those boundaries.
100%.
And I experienced that too. Even, you know, having a business with a friend, you have to definitely set up those boundaries and make it clear, you know, this is the friendship side. This is the business side. Let's make it as clean as possible, you know, to make it a smooth experience.
100%. And it does get tricky. And everyone's like, it's hilarious because everybody thinks they have the perfect recipe for my life and how to run my business, which is funny because the last recipe was like, oh, you know, you should remove yourself mostly from your business and you should not have any close relationships with people because that's the logical way to do things. But I don't have a business that is logical.
Well,
I live in
it's
an
your
emotional
purpose.
business.
So even if
100%.
you exited the business, you're not going to be as happy as you were or experience that joy.
100%.
Because that's what you love.
But outside of my purpose, my industry, if you want a client to be successful, you have to know what the hell happened to them at 6 years old.
Yep.
Because someone who's obese, someone who's eaten themselves into being that unhealthy, that is not a food issue.
Yeah.
That's not a macronutrient issue.
It's trauma.
It's trauma. My job is emotional. My connection to people takes work because I have to allow them to get comfortable enough to listen to what is going on. Or they have to trust me enough to tell me what's going on. That's my job. Yeah. I'm not a therapist and I never claimed to be, but I sure as hell know what kind of trauma my clients have been through because anybody who's going to eat themselves into that weight has had childhood trauma that they have to deal with in order to achieve the physical state that they need to be in, or postpartum, or whatever trauma that these people are going through. I'm not going to sit there and be like, get it together. Have you had postpartum?
Yeah.
That shit's real, by the way. It's not a Google search engine thing that's going to tell you what's wrong because you don't actually know you have it when you're in it.
Until you experience it.
Exactly. So you need the right trainer and you need the right support group and you need the right community of people to emotionally invest in your journey. So no, I can't be logical in my business when it comes to relationships. And although what happens is I push these people and I encourage these people and and I want them to be better, but when they don't achieve that or they don't follow through with that, then they don't like me anymore.
Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
my life, but
It's a
that's my
hard
job.
balance. Yep.
Right? Because I have to emotionally invest in them, and then if they don't do what they're supposed to working with me, then they're going to not be happy or satisfied and then not like me anymore because I put them into that place that makes them uncomfortable.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Absolutely.
All the things.
Absolutely. The last question I want to ask is, for me personally, when I was starting on the entrepreneur journey, the only person I had was you, that was on the same path of owning your own business. And I didn't have very many other people to look to for advice. So what is one of the biggest pieces of advice that you would give to somebody that already an entrepreneur are looking to start their own business?
Oh, God. One of my favorite things is to stop with imposter syndrome. I think that's one of the biggest setbacks for anyone in life, whether it's promotional in corporate settings or being a good mom, but in business specifically, you can do anything you want. I truly believe that. I just do. And I think that if you believe that you can, you will. And
Most
I've always
definitely.
carried on my dad's legacy with everything he's always told me because I'll never forget it. And you've heard me say this probably 20 times, but it's how I genuinely think. My dad bred me to be this person, and I'm thankful. And my mom's the compassion, sweet. My dad is too. But my dad built me to be bulletproof. He built me to be strong as hell and to be resilient. But I think that the one thing that he told me my whole life, it's tattooed down my back. And it says, you take no prisoners, you take no shit. You take no no's. You take nobody telling you can't dream big. You conquer everything, and you wake up and you find solutions, and you never let anybody tell you that you can't do it.
I love that.
And honestly, every day I wake up, I'm going to do this. And everyone's like, you're insane. Oh, I'm going to start a coffee shop. No, you're not. Start a coffee shop. 15 days, have a coffee shop. It's like, no, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it because I'm not afraid to fail.
And that's a huge lesson in itself.
Yeah.
Is like embracing rejection.
Yep.
And those mistakes and those fails. It took me a long time to realize that those are the moments that now I submit a client proposal and they say no thank you, no hard feelings.
Sure.
I use it as a way to do better. What can I offer? What can I make more clear? How can I learn from this? It's exciting for me now.
It is.
And when you reframe that, it just makes it all that much better. You enjoy
really
the
does.
journey more.
Yeah, it really does. You can change your template. You can rewrite your story. You can be a new person every day. It's the one mission and statement I like to make for all people starting businesses. You can change the narrative. You can change your story. You can rewrite it as many times as you want, which is exactly the next step of my career that I'm taking. And I feel like I need to hit a higher velocity of people and help a higher velocity of people truly discover that inner power and reducing that fear of rejection, reducing the imposter syndrome, reducing the I can't do to I can do. And, as cheesy as that sounds, what you put out comes, right?
Absolutely,
so to everybody who wants to start a business and who is an entrepreneur, send me a message. I'd be happy to help.
Where can they find you?
Well, I am super excited. I am going to be releasing a lot of new packages on my personal brand. It's going to be called Discover Your Inner Power and Unleash the Beast, basically. I'm going to have a ton, because if you know me, I'm manic in everything that I do, a ton of stuff to help you, to take you to each and every step. There's going to be step 1 to step 100. I'm going to be talking about multiple different things: how to start a business, how to conquer your inner self, how to be a working mom, how to get your baby to nap, to be able to maximize in work, how to be able to be a mom and a business owner, how to discover how to run a business in your feminine energy versus always holding that masculine form, and teaching women when to maximize, masculinity and femininity, and also teaching men how to do the same. Men are also allowed to tap into both sides. I have a lot of really good material coming out. I am asking everybody go subscribe to my page, my emails, my Amanda Fritscher website.
Read the blogs.
Read
They're
the
amazing.
blogs, yes. And more about my personal life will be coming out. A lot of people have been asking to hear a lot more about some of my personal journeys. So we'll be sharing a lot of that because I want you guys to know what I've overcome as a person.